welcome to Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I'm Laura Cotter.
And I'm Skye Orchard.
And happy Pride Month, everybody!
We made it to June.
I honestly can't believe it's June. I was thinking about that the other day because I was like, oh, we're like 3 months into the year. And I'm like, no, we're 6 months into the year.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I wanted to take I know we're not a political podcast, and I know a lot of you come to us for escapism, but with the events of this past weekend, this is currently June
8th.
June 8th. I don't know my days on the weekend. It's currently June 8th when we're recording this, and I just want to acknowledge what's happening in California and the gross overreach of our federal government, and that we hope that all of our California, especially LA listeners, are safe, and we are thinking of you, and you have our support, and don't necessarily believe everything that you're seeing in the media right now. Please be smart of what media that you're consuming, because there's a lot of money to be made by not telling what's actually happening. So those of you in California, we are here for you. When you need a break from everything that's happening, please come tune into us, and we will try to entertain you and get your mind off of things for 30 to 40 minutes.
Agreed. Stay safe.
Get your leaf blowers and your waters, friends. I do have a good thing to say. Well, it's good for us. I enjoyed it. I wanted to shout out Reddit user SportsChick12 because they were promoting us on the Sabrina the Teenage Witch subreddit. I was just browsing to see and somebody had started a post about the
magic book, right? And ripping out the pages.
That was one of them. This one was about inconsistencies and the logic holes that are in this show. And Sports Chick 12 very, very kindly said something like, oh, there's this podcast called Something Witchy. They discuss a lot of these issues. They said something like, they don't have a lot of the answers. And I very snarkily commented, I was like, what do you mean we don't have a lot of the answers? And then in parentheses, it was like, we have none of the answers. Do not come to this podcast for your answers. We do not have them.
Yeah, sorry about that. But thank you, SportsChick12 there. You win at our end of podcast ask there of telling your friends, but also the random strangers of Reddit.
They told an internet stranger, and I love that for them. And SportsChick12, if you want us to send you a sticker, we absolutely will. Just DM us on Reddit and I'll get it to you. In sad news for me, I think my DVD player died.
Oh no.
So I did manage to figure out Pluto TV, which meant I had to watch with commercials for this episode. And I got to hear Amy Poehler promoting Subway Doritos footlong nachos, which is not something I'd ever expected to experience in my lifetime.
Welcome to the world of watching with ads. Let's find you a new DVD player.
I'm going to have my dad look at it and see if he can repair it, because that's what he did for 30 years of his career. So
okay.
First we're going to see if dad can repair it for free, and then we'll look for a new one. But it has to be DVD VHS combo.
Obviously.
Which I feel like is a little bit harder to find.
I should make sure mine still works occasionally.
Yeah. I'm hoping it's I don't know if it's better or not if it's the DVD player and not the DVD. I'll be real bummed if the DVD is the issue and I only have watched it 4 times. We will see. Hopefully next week I'll be back with no commercials. Or maybe Sabrina will appear back on Hulu and I will be just the happiest girl in the world.
One of the services will get it. They just bounce around between each other.
I think the hard thing is going to be once we reach season 5, because most of them only have up to season 4. I think unless you buy the seasons on YouTube, which I would like to avoid doing that if at all possible.
Yeah, I don't care for that.
No, I don't want YouTube to have my financial information.
At least we have a couple seasons we have to get through first before we have to even think about 5.
And some months of the world not ending before we get there too.
It's true.
We'll be doing this podcast from our bunkers in the near future.
RFK Jr.'s farm.
Gosh.
We say we're not political, and then we always end up saying something.
I think it's well established that we're political. We try not to drag people down because, again, we do recognize you come here for fun and not for depression hour. But sometimes we're feeling depression hour, and it's really hard to get into that fun space.
That it is. Well, I do have a question to flip to the fun, maybe.
I'm so excited for this reversal of roles.
I mean, it's not a great question. I just came up with the question once you said, I have no question.
Okay. What is your question?
If you were on a date with a witch and had to take them to a mortal activity, which activity would you choose?
Does it have to be local, or can I choose anything?
You could choose anything. There are going to be other mortals present, so you have to account for the Dante scenario of someone using magic and how do you disguise it.
A witch who's never been on Earth, has never been in the mortal realm. Do you have an answer? Thinking like mini golf, bowling, like, those typical kind of dumb dates.
I was thinking maybe like it's not laser tag, it's laser tag in that you're in like a dark space with neon walls and whatnot.
Okay.
And then you get to shoot people with glow in the dark bouncy balls. So it's a combination of paintball and laser tag. I feel like the dark and the chaos could hide accidental or purposeful magic used to torture mortals.
Is that an actual thing that exists, or did you just think that up?
Oh no, it exists. It's great.
Oh, that exists in Utah?
Idaho Falls.
Well, if it exists in Idaho Falls, it should be here.
I'm sure it exists maybe at Laser Quest.
That's a good one. Okay. If they've never been in the mortal realm before, I would take them to the symphony so they could experience like some really good mortal music.
Okay.
And hope that like Beethoven or Mozart or any of those composers weren't actually like witches and they already had their music in the other realm. But there's something about certain classical pieces when I go that it's like, it feels magical, feels very emotional and very moving. So I know that wouldn't disguise any magic for them, but I'm hoping it'd be a cool, unique experience for them.
Let music calm the beast.
Yeah, that too. Mm-hmm. That was a good question. I like that because my question was going to be talk about our experience on dating apps, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Skye already got me yelling about dating apps once this weekend. We don't need to do it again on the podcast. Okay, let's do this episode. So we are season 2, episode 4. The episode title is Dante's Inferno. Did you get the Paramount description for me?
I did. It's below the TV guide.
Oh,
so make
perfect.
people suffer first through TV guide, and then we'll provide Paramount.
I hate this TV guide description so much. If anybody can tell me a reason why the TV guide descriptions are good, I am willing to hear it because so far I don't like them. So the TV guide official description is: Harvey tells Sabrina his parents want him to start dating other girls. Sabrina's aunts agree and set her up with a witch called Dante. They click and then go on a double date with Harvey and his date, Jean. But Dante has a problem with not using magic in the mortal realm. Zelda uses the same dating service and has trouble finding a date, as does Valerie, which makes it sound like Valerie is using the same dating service as Zelda. That's a terrible sentence. Okay, back into the description. We're not done yet. Meanwhile, Hilda has a dose of pun-itis, which causes puns in her sentences to come true, which they're not even puns. They're just like cliches. They're just saying.
Turns of phrase.
They become a pun once the magic enacts, but the actual saying itself is not the pun. Okay. That's the terrible TV guide description. The Paramount Plus description: Sabrina learns not to date outside of her realm after a bad evening with a witch boy.
Now, I have a problem with date outside of her realm for very obvious reasons.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a real close to another phrase. That's problematic. Also, she doesn't learn that lesson because she will have other dates with other witch boys in the future. So that's also not true. Also, I don't think that's the lesson we take away from this.
I mean, it's shorter than TV Guide, though.
All right. So we will see going forward if Paramount Plus continues to be like weirdly conservative. Now I really want to know what the Hulu description would have been for this.
Hey, Hulu, hit us up.
I will not revert to a commercials lower price package plan, Hulu, if you will put Sabrina back on the air. This episode originally aired on October 10th, 1997. Gary Halvorson is directing again, and I'm wondering if he's just going to be the director for this entire season. Our writer's another new writer. It's Charlie Tursitt. He only has credits for Sabrina. So he's a story editor for 42 episodes from seasons 2 through 4, and then he's a writer for 10 episodes in seasons 2 through 4. And that's all there is on Charlie on IMDb. We have a few guest stars. Davy Jones stars as himself. He is from the Monkees. He has also appeared in My Two Dads, Boy Meets World, and voiced a character on Phineas and Ferb. He sadly passed away on February 9th, 2012. Jason James Richter is Dante. He was in Free Willy 1, 2, and 3, Bones, and Rugrats. Sarah Lancaster is Jean. She was in Chuck, Everwood, Witches of East End, Scrubs, and Saved by the Bell, the new class. Her name in this show was actually originally called Audrey, but they changed it to Jean shortly before filming so that Davy Jones would have a reason to sing Daydream Believer, which has the line, "Cheer up, sleepy Jean." And in the closing credits, it's still listed as Audrey.
Ooh.
Terry Garr is the witch Yenta. She is from Tootsie, Mr. Mom, Young Frankenstein, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Friends. And she passed away fairly recently on October 29th, 2024. Roger Eschbacher is Steve. He's mostly been a writer for animated series, but he also is a writer for Studio C, which is the Mormon version of Saturday Night Live.
Okay, Roger.
He has some acting credits from Parks and Rec, According to Jim, Just Shoot Me, Friends, ER, and Ellen. Fritz Spurberg.
That's a name.
Fritz Spurberg is Larry. He's from Patriot Games, Sophia the First, a bunch of different Star Trek stuff. And I wrote Patriot Games again because apparently that was important. Hey, did you know he was in Patriot Games?
I don't think so. Are you sure? Fritz Spurberg? Patriot Games?
He is definitely in Patriot Games. The Patriot Games with Harrison Ford. That Patriot Games.
I thought it was Fritz Bergspur who was in Patriot Games.
This is turning to Herb Ertlinger.
I've been rewatching 30 Rock and we just got to where Jenna is in the rural juror. So it's the rural juror.
That is the best long-running joke in that series. I love it. Then we have Jonathan Palmer as Jerry from The Middle, 2.5 Men, The X-Files, Parks and Rec, and Murder, She Wrote. And lastly, John Valdatero as Ron from Jag, Malcolm in the Middle, Drew Carey Show, Seventh Heaven, and Scrubs. What were your overall thoughts on this episode, Skye?
It was good. I definitely paused a lot more this episode than it has been for recent episodes to look up little facts there. I will say they're probably little. I'm not going to go on like a 10-minute rant about medieval armor for y'all, so you're welcome maybe there. No, it was fun. Lots of references again, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, this one was very much back to that fast-paced, quick scene, especially when Zelda starts doing the dating service, where it's like back and forth really quickly. And it was a little bit hard to keep up with writing my notes. So I didn't do a ton of background comments, and I told Skye I would have to rely heavily on them to do it. So glad that Skye has done the work for me.
We'll see.
We start with everyone in the kitchen eating a dinner that Salem has made.
And it's time for me to talk already.
Yay!
So Salem gets the recipe. The recipe. Salem gets the recipe from Graham Kerr. He pronounces it Kerr. However, it is actually pronounced Care. He writes about it in the beginning of his cookbook even because of people mispronouncing his last name there. Kerr is a British cooking personality best known for his TV show The Galloping Gourmet, which ran from 1968 through 1972. It actually aired in Canada. He won 2 Emmys from it and became a worldwide sensation. However, here's some tea. James Beard didn't like him and has said Kerr has very little respect for food.
Is there a horse involved? Is that why it's called The Galloping Gourmet? Does he ride his horse to different towns to taste food?
He doesn't, but before they did the show and his cookbooks are based off it, he and a friend went to 32 different countries, I believe, and got like different recipes from those countries. And so the show is going over that. And then his standard entrance for the show would be he would run on stage and perform a stunt of leaping over a dining room chair from the dining room set that was on stage to greet the audience.
So he's doing the galloping.
Yes, I believe so.
Love
Galloping onto the stage.
Love it. A+.
But yeah, very popular. I guess Emerald watched it growing up as well. So, Bam. I'd crack myself up.
Oh, I just got it.
I was like, oh, nope, it didn't land.
No, I just got distracted by my microphone cord.
Okay. Salem also says he would have whipped up a chocolate souffle if he could only get his paws around a whisk. All sad like, but how did he manage to cook the rest of the dinner if he can't? Is it just whisks that hate him and his paws? How are you cooking, Salem? What utensils are you able to use? I could see him actually being able to use a knife.
Also, couldn't you use like an electric mixer with a whisk attachment?
Yeah.
I think he could have managed one of those.
I think so.
Maybe Salem was just trying to get out of making a souffle.
But luckily, Hilda has backup, and I'll turn it over to you with that lovely segue.
So after all that, Hilda conjures up some ice cream for dessert, but when Sabrina opens the freezer, she finds an eye screaming. Zelda thinks Hilda has pun-itis. Hilda jokes about eating too much sugar and it becoming a real monkey on her back. Suddenly, Davy Jones appears, holding her from behind. Hilda admits that she might have pun-itis.
I'm not gonna lie, when I was first looking at these notes and saw just Davy Jones written before I started watching the episode, I totally in that paragraph expected like Davy Jones's locker pirate. I was very confused.
When I first looked at the IMDb credits and saw Davy Jones, I thought the same. You're not alone. But it is, in fact, Davy Jones from the Monkees.
The band of the Monkees.
TV show.
What?
TV show. The Monkees were a TV show that, like, they weren't a band first. They were a TV show about a band that was created.
So the Monkees aren't actually a band?
Like, they are, but not, like, organically.
Okay.
Like, they created the Monkees TV series, and then they hired actors to become the Monkees. But they did sing.
I think my mind's a little broken. I'm struggling with that one. I guess I need to go find a TV episode of the Monkees.
Yeah, sorry. But then they did, like, make music videos.
Yeah, and like play on the radio.
But it was like because the TV show had started and been created, and then it got popular.
Okay, I guess we technically had some Hannah Montana songs on the radio
That's
back
true.
in the day. So.
Yes, like Hannah Montana. Yeah.
Okay, my brain is getting there.
Okay. Or the Brady Bunch.
The Brady Bunch sing?
Yeah, they had songs
on the radio.
Oh, I don't know if they were on the radio. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, the Monkees were a TV show first, but about a band.
And Davy Jones from the Monkees, which is a TV show, is guest starring on Sabrina.
And he's not a sea monster.
He is not a sea monster. He's not from the depths of the ocean.
We're going to make it to our outfit intro now. She's wearing a can outfit and says, I can you?
Clearly I cannot.
Harvey's dad had him talk about goals. The goals are pass math, start at least one football game, get a part-time job, and date other girls. Sabrina is shocked. Harvey says he's supposed to date a bunch of girls, so he knows what to look for in a mate, or avoid, like gold diggers. I'm really uncomfortable with the term mate.
Yeah, and it's used a couple different times.
I feel like we could have used partner. I know that wasn't used as much in the 90s, but it was definitely still an acceptable synonym. Harvey doesn't know what to do and feels trapped. Sabrina agrees to see other people, but only as friends. Harvey promises it will only be for a little while until his dad comes up with a new goal. They'll still secretly be boyfriend and girlfriend, like Romeo and Juliet. Sabrina asks to skip the taking poison part.
I know we talk frequently about plot holes and the retconning, but holy crap, did the first 2 episodes of this season count for nothing?
Yep.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. We went from the aunt saying, hey, you need to take a step back from dating to, hey, maybe try dating other people. Like, go on more dates, but with different people. We've had no quizmaster. We've had no quizzes. I'm pretty sure it will come back in the next episode. At home, the aunts agree with Harvey's dad. Sabrina should meet new people, have new experiences, play the field, Hilda adds, sending Sabrina to a football field.
Football field, but holding a hockey stick? It definitely wasn't a lacrosse stick.
Was it a field hockey field? Maybe I just...
Who knows? Sports that I don't play. I also love that Salem tries to get Hilda to say a fine kettle of fish. He's really helpful.
Zelda parrots the earlier talking point that this will help Sabrina know what to look for in a mate. Hilda adds she needs to watch out for gold diggers. Does Sabrina have gold for gold diggers to dig?
Well, they have a dungeon, right? We haven't seen what's in there.
Her aunts do. And if she's going to inherit that, she has to wait for them to die. And who knows how long that could take. But Sabrina doesn't want to date anyone else. What about a nice witch boy? Sabrina stomps off, shouting Harvey's name over and over. Zelda summons a winch Yenta to help Sabrina see who else is out there.
Which the definition of Yenta is a woman who is a gossip or a busybody.
Really? That's the definition?
Yep.
Oh, there's a mistaken belief that the word for a Jewish matchmaker is yenta. In reality, it's called, I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I'm going to butcher it. The origin of this error is the 1964 musical Fiddler on the Roof, in which a character named Yenti, I don't know how the E's get pronounced in Yiddish, Yenta, serves as the matchmaker for the village of Anatevka. I definitely thought a Yenta was a Jewish matchmaker, so I learned something today. Unfortunately, the Yenta, who is a matchmaker, but also happens to be a Yenta, just broke up with her boyfriend. She powers through, though, and starts showing off some potential dates. A guy who can play the tuba and the flute at the same time, or someone who just got over his mermaid obsession. Sabrina objects to both because Harvey doesn't like classical music and he gets seasick. She has to pass. The Yenta starts to cry, and as the aunts comfort her, Sabrina declares that neither she nor Harvey can imagine being with anyone else. We immediately flip to school, where Sabrina just found out Harvey has a date already. His dad set him up with a client's daughter. Sabrina reassures Harvey that she's fine and lies about having a date this weekend, too. Unfortunately, Valerie is terrible about playing along. Sabrina storms off, leaving clueless Valerie, who just got a brochure from a convent. Sabrina is back at home with the aunts and Yenta and asks for a date fast. She suggests the Cyclops first, but suddenly he has a date. They excuse the Yenta, who is now much happier that her man called her. Zelda thinks she has an idea for Sabrina's date. She can't think of his name, causing Hilda to ask, "Cat got your tongue?" which zaps Zelda's tongue to Salem, who starts using it to groom himself. What would your cats do if they got your tongue, Skye?
I don't know. It did remind me of, did you ever see that cat brush they released for a moment? That was like a giant tongue.
Yes, when you stick in your mouth.
That's what it reminded me of. Honestly, Peggy probably would use my tongue. Anyway, Peggy can get pets.
Hilda zaps the tongue back and remembers the name of the boy, Dante. They just haven't seen him since he was 3 months old. Flip to Sabrina on a date with Dante, flying in space on a very fancy vacuum. They're at a restaurant with the fastest food. As soon as he orders, the food appears in their mouths/hands, except the fries that get dumped on their heads. Next, they're sitting on some sort of rocky surface that could be a moon, a meteor, or a planet, and they're looking at the stars. Dante decides now is a great time to smoke a ham, and that's Sabrina's cue that she should be getting home. Do you mind if I smoke? I actually don't like smoke. No, I meant smoke a ham. That should have been the red flag. I lost Skye. Skye's disappeared. Skye, are you dead?
I just spilled my water bottle all over my feet.
No.
It's like keeping it rested in my lap, apparently open.
No. Oh no. This is why I only use bottles or water bottles that are essentially giant sippy cups for adults.
It's fine.
So we're smoking a ham. Skye, any comments on the ham?
No, but I miss the fact that you used to get burgers for so cheap. It was like 79 cents, 99 cents, $1.29, I think was the highest I saw on that burger menu.
Is it mortal dollars? Because we already learned that there's a difference in Other Realm coin. And the Other Realm coin is like $5 Earth dollars or American US dollars for like 17,000 Other Realm coins or something like that. So what's the currency rate? Why are we using it US dollars? Why is a boy who's never stepped foot on Earth using US dollars?
So either really cheap fast food or...
It could be like really, really cheap if it's 79 cents Other Realm coins. That's maybe like 1,000th of a penny.
Yeah.
Skye was getting very uncomfortable and I was yelling, and I need to apologize because I was not yelling at Skye. I was yelling to Skye. I don't expect you to have the answer, Skye. No one has the answers. That's the rule of the podcast.
I mean, yeah. I think also, my feet are wet. So I'm just sitting in discomfort. I might actually go get a towel quickly.
We'll take a break. Go get a towel. Go get a towel.
Oh my gosh. What did I do?
Did you make it worse?
I don't know. I dropped something else.
Oh no. While Skye's gone, I'm going to look at the stuff on their bookshelf. They have something called 10-minute crossword puzzles. Let's see what else is over here. Well, that looks like a game called Summer Camp. I wonder what that's about. Trek King the World also looks like a game. I see an Uno pack. Oh, I can't read the book titles. They're too blurry. I feel like I recognize some of these spines, but I don't know what they are. I wonder how long I can just fill this blank space. And then Skye will have a fun surprise to listen to while they're editing. Oh, they're back. Let's be quiet.
Am I going to regret not hitting pause on the recording?
No, of course not.
As I'm underneath my rolly desk, mopping up with a towel, I just hear words coming out of my headset.
Well, I'm glad you're back, Skye.
Thanks.
Are your feet dry?
You know, they're a little damp, like that clammy after you've dried off your feet.
You need to get a fan to put on them.
No.
Do we need to pause for 10 minutes till they're dry?
They'll be fine.
Okay, should we do this podcast again?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, where are we? Okay, so Dante's smoking a ham. Sabrina. Okay, so Sabrina decides she should be getting home, but first Dante has a surprise for her. He gives her a star and calls her pretty.
Aww.
Aww. At home, Zelda has brewed a pun-itis antidote with the lab top, but Hilda refuses to take it. Zelda forces her to swallow it, and Hilda calls her a dictator, causing Zelda to transform into a Fidel Castro outfit. Salem is just happy because now he has someone to talk baseball with.
Did you know that there is a Society for American Baseball Research?
I did not know. Are they at a 501c3? I kind of want to look up their financials.
I did not think to look up their financials. I was just like, oh, that's interesting.
What does that job pay?
I don't know. Is it all volunteer baseball research?
Oh, maybe.
I don't care about baseball enough.
Oh, I do not care about baseball at all. We have an episode titled We Are Not Baseball Folk.
I do have some info about Castro and baseball.
Okay.
In this article that I found about Castro and baseball, paragraph reads, Castro remains the most dominant, self-perpetuating myth of the second half of the 20th century, and this claim is equally valid when it comes to the Cuban leader's longtime personal association with North America's self-proclaimed national game. Rare indeed is the ball fan who has not heard some version of the well-worn Castro baseball tale that Fidel once owned a blazing fastball as a teenage prospect and was once offered big league contracts by several eager scouts, including a scout for the Washington Senators. And those scouts' failures to ink the young Cuban prospect unleashed a coming half-century of Cold War political and economic intrigue. So I believe the writer's trying to say
He didn't make the team, so he unleashed the Cold War.
that's sort of what it sounded like.
Wow. Dang.
That's a statement.
I would absolutely believe a man would be so mad about not being picked for the baseball team that he would become an he would start an authoritarian. That's the word. He would become a fascist. He would start a fascist regime.
I would like to correct you slightly, that Castro was a communist and not a fascist. But anyways, authoritarian regime.
Authoritarian. When you're a dictator, it doesn't matter what you call yourself. You're still a dictator.
I think it's the opposite sides of the scale.
But you're still a dictator.
Well, yes. It's the model of which you're dictating. And I did not mean to emphasize it like that, but I think it works.
Asshole leaders.
Just simplified politics so much. You're welcome, world.
Sabrina and Dante are ending their date at the linen closet door, but Salem interrupts them during their goodbyes.
And I just love Salem as the curfew enforcer.
He has to get his power wherever he can. Salem is telling her aunts all about the date and even zaps them her leftovers from dinner. She shows them the star he gave her. Hilda remembers the first time she got a star. The next thing she knew, 3 wise men were at the door. The age inconsistencies have started. We were so good all of last season that we established they were 600 years old. And that made sense, and it was 600 years. And now, Hilda got a star somewhere around 080 and the birth of Christ. And she sidetracked the 3 wise men. / maybe she was in Bethlehem. I don't know.
Do you think she's actually being serious?
I think she's half serious. Because she presents it like not as a and next thing I know, 3 wise men were at the door. She presented it as and next thing I know, there were 3 wise men at the door. It was an inconvenience to her. Sabrina goes to bed, like I should probably do, leaving the aunts to reminisce about talking about their own Friday night dates, but they realize it's been a long time since they've had dates. Zelda decides to call the Yenta. At school on Monday, Sabrina admits to Valerie that her date was really fun, but she's worried about how Harvey is going to take it. They weren't actually supposed to like the people they went out with, but Valerie reassures her that Harvey had a great time with his date, who is maybe a model. Harvey joins them and Sabrina gets defensive at first, but then relaxes. They're just doing this for their parents, and they can be grown up about this. Sabrina gets a brilliant idea to go on a double date. Everyone's a winner. But then she spots a depressed Valerie who excuses herself to go listen to one of her mom's Janice Ian albums. Sabrina reassures Harvey that she'd love to meet Jean.
Janice Ian is a successful folk singer in the 60s and 70s, most known for the songs Society's Child and At 17. I don't think I've heard either of them, but very successful during that time period. She came out in 1993, happy Pride Month again, and has actually been in the science fiction writing world since 2001.
I was reading a little bit about her song Society's Child. So she wrote it when she was 14, and it was about an interracial relationship.
Oh.
And she got like hate mail for it. There were a lot of people very upset about that song, but it was quite a big success. Sabrina just said that she'd love to meet Jean, but then we flipped the scene and she is immediately mocking Jean's name to Salem as she gets ready for the date. Jean's not a name, it's a pair of pants. And suddenly Davy Jones appears again and starts singing Daydream Believer. Salem asks why he's there because no one made a pun, but Davy has no idea. The linen closet door rings and Sabrina goes to answer, leaving Davy and Salem alone, and Salem asks if they can go out and cruise for chicks. Davy declines. Dante is at the closet door and Sabrina welcomes him in. He admits he's never been bowling before. He's actually never been in the mortal realm before. He looks around the house as Sabrina tells him he can't use any magic here. He has also never seen stairs and doesn't know how to walk down them. He falls to the bottom of the staircase when Sabrina runs into her room to grab her bag.
Have we not seen stairs at all in all our other realm scenes? Did Vesta have stairs?
Nope, we didn't see stairs there. Although there was a water slide, so how would they get to the top of the water slide? But maybe it's a magical elevator.
There was at least 2 stairs in the volcano ski lodge.
That's true. There were no stairs at Amanda's mom's house. There were no stairs in the Witches' Council area. Yeah, I don't think we've seen anything that's more than one story.
Interesting.
Dante and Sabrina arrive at the bowling alley and go over the rules of bowling. Harvey and Jean show up and everyone is introduced. Dante offers to encase Jean in mud. Sabrina reminds Dante not to use magic, but he ignores this and zaps Harvey to make him trip.
Harvey and Jean are wearing some trucker-style matching Termite King hats. Quite the hats.
If we ever get into merch, we should make some Termite King hats.
Merch?
Merch.
I thought you said March.
No, if we ever make merch.
I was like, I think we'll get into March, but at this rate, I don't know.
If we make it to March, I'm going to get a trucker.
We will make some merch.
Termite King hat.
March equals merch.
Oh, man. We can't record past 9 anymore.
We have a bedtime.
The Yenta is giving Zelda a book of potential dates, but can't stay. She's going to meet her therapist. Hilda and Zelda settle on the couch, and Hilda starts clicking through the options. The first is a PhD in astronomy, but Hilda quickly rejects him. Zelda sends her away and looks at an attorney named Jerry, who suddenly says he's a big fat dweeb with Hilda's voice. The teens are all eating pizza, and Sabrina is telling a story about her and Harvey at a pizza eating contest. Dante takes this as a challenge and quickly shoves an entire pizza in his mouth. Jean and Harvey look on in awe or horror or some combination of the two.
And Sabrina's excuse was, I forgot to tell you his father's in the circus.
Zelda's next option is writing his dissertation on the Roman poet Catullus, but lets loose on the weekend with haiku. Hilda is horrified. Zelda is interested.
And then Salem appears as a dating option. And when they ask what he's doing there, he says, I've got wants and needs that a scratching post just can't fulfill. And then also that the hologram makes him look fat. You can look up to like 10 pounds heavier on television due to several factors, including camera lens distortion, perspective, and the way our brains process depth. So wide angle lenses often distort the subject, especially at close range, making features appear flattened or exaggerated. Additionally, the way cameras capture depth differs from human vision, leading to perceived differences in proportions. So if you ever see yourself on video or in a photo and you feel like you look different, it's because of technology and how our brain sees things.
That is not the tangent I was expecting you to go down.
Yeah, I didn't realize they mentioned a Roman poet because I got much more excited about that when you read it to me just now than my fact.
Can I read you the brief description or a sentence about Catullus from Wikipedia?
Please.
His surviving works remain widely read due to their popularity as teaching tools and because of their personal or sexual themes.
Okay, Catullus.
He name-dropped a ton of people in his poetry that may or may not have been his lovers.
Yeah, I'm seeing now a New Yorker article from March of this year saying imbuing his work with a volatile Love that mix of tenderness, aggression, sophistication, and obscenity. Sounds sort of fun.
There's also a person in his poems called Lesbia, and they're pretty sure it's this woman named Claudia Metelli, who was an actual person. He goes into great detail about their relationship. And she was married.
Oh, Catullus.
From the poems, one can adduce no fewer than 5 lovers in addition to Catullus. He was a gossip, and I love it.
Get in some Regina George.
Catullus describes his Lesbia as having multiple suitors and often showing little affection towards him.
His poem 16 is billed as the rudest poem in Latin.
Man, I wish I knew Latin. We're 80% of the way there.
Living on a prayer.
Harvey offers to get Sabrina her bowling shoes, but Dante quickly zaps a pair on her feet. Harvey looks at them suspiciously, and he and Jean go to get their stuff. Sabrina tells Dante to cut out the magic, but he's just trying to amuse himself. Mortals are boring. Sabrina points out that she's half mortal, but he tells her she doesn't look it. Zelda's next candidate is Ron, who has a Nobel Prize in science. He also has one in literature.
But don't worry, he also does have his dark side. He has his fair share in parking tickets.
Zelda is intrigued, Hilda looks on in disgust, and she and Salem call him a snore. Jean gets a strike at bowling, and it's Dante's turn. He struggles to lift the ball, and it goes in the gutter. Harvey starts to comfort him, but Dante zaps the ball to go back in the lane and get a strike. Harvey is stunned and tries doing the same thing Dante did. Dante zaps his ball, causing it to explode and miss all the pins. Harvey's never seen anything like that, except on the Flintstones. Zelda's date has arrived and Hilda answers the door. Zelda comes down and asks Hilda for her opinion. Hilda calls him a real deer, turning poor Ron into an actual deer that starts chewing on the pillows. Zelda glares at Hilda and tells her there's something very wrong with her, but she gets the deer anyway. They're going to go see my best friend's wedding,
which had come out 4 months prior to the release of this episode in June.
It could still be out. It might be in dollar theaters, but it's probably still out. Dante and Harvey are arm wrestling, and Harvey taunts Dante, saying he couldn't beat Harvey with 3 arms. So Dante conjures another arm and beats Harvey. Jean definitely noticed something weird. Then Dante spins a bowling ball in his finger, and Jean absolutely notices that. Sabrina zaps Jean and Harvey's hats to cover their eyes so they won't see any more magic. They wander around blindly, bumping into things, which, like, if you suddenly lost your sight, why would you just start walking? Why would you not just stand still? And then suddenly Hilda appears. She was trying to conjure a bowl. Sabrina asks for advice on what to do with Dante. Hilda tells her to use a power outage spell, then says she's glad she wasn't in the mood for baked Alaska, causing her to disappear off to Alaska. Sabrina casts the spell on Dante, causing him to drop the ball.
And it's a nice little rhyming scheme used for that spell, and I think they rhymed earlier for the Yenta summoning.
I can actually tell you, mortal boys we have a plenta, for which fellows we need a Yenta.
2 nice rhymes so far. I'm happy.
The power outage one is you haven't been nice, you haven't been cordial, so for the next 5 minutes you're going to be mortal. Again, what are the rules between when we can just point and when we have to rhyme and when we have to say anything? Because we also got the popular girl is not a fruit, and that worked.
Magic.
Rules. There are so many and yet so few. He pouts, but they all start bowling again. The score is 175 to 16. Dante counts up to 60 and we hear a magical ping. The spell has worn off and it's party time. Sabrina freaks out trying to think of a plan B. Meanwhile, Dante turns Harvey into a bowling pin. Sabrina zaps Jean's hat again to cover her eyes. Dante sends the Harvey pin down with the others and sends the bowling ball down the lane. Sabrina stops it just in time and tells Dante that the date's over. He's fine with that. What's the point of hanging out with mortals if you can't torture them? Sabrina grabs the Harvey pin and Jean comes back with the hat off her head. Sabrina hides the pin behind her back and tells Jean that Harvey had to go home to feed his fish. Jean is upset that he would just leave her. She thought he really liked her. Sabrina apologizes and runs off with the Harvey pin. She takes the pin home and it talks about cheese. Hilda explains he's a pinhead and Zelda undoes the spell. It's kind of rhymey. Rock and Rebel, Thunder and Wind release this poor schlub from his bowling pin. Harvey is back into human form and has no idea how he got there, but starts talking about cheese again. The pinheadedness will take a while to wear off, and Sabrina sends him home unsupervised, wandering the streets.
And cheese. Cheese.
I wonder how much fun he had acting that part of this episode.
He had some great facial expressions.
He did. Deance apologized for setting her up with Dante. He turned out to be nothing but a big bonehead. This summons Dante with a big bone through his head. Sabrina actually enjoys this pun, but Dante complains that he has school pictures tomorrow. Valerie finally got a date with her third cousin. Harvey and Sabrina catch up, and Sabrina asks about Jean. Harvey keeps calling, but she won't answer. He doesn't know what he did wrong. Sabrina zaps the payphone, and it's Jean calling. Harvey and Jean talk while Sabrina sadly walks away. We transition into her lying on her bed while Davy Jones sings I'll Love You Forever. He stops and comments that these things never happened to Peter Tork. They all watch on sadly except Zelda, who is smiling. She has a date with Davy. He asks if they can go to a restaurant as it's been 3 days and no one has fed him. In our end tag, Davy Jones is trying to teach Sabrina and the ants how to do the Monkees walk. Hilda is bad at it and has her hand on his bum. They finally do it successfully. And that is our episode. The next episode is season 2, episode 5, A Doll's Story. Skye, do you have guesses?
I don't like it already.
Oh no, why?
I don't want to watch a creepy doll. Someone's going to turn into a doll. It might be from the perspective of a doll the entire time. I'm not liking it.
I will tell you, we have someone from season 1 returning in this episode.
Is it Amanda? Ugh. No, what did I do to deserve this, Laura?
Amanda's going to come back every single season, so you better get used to it. I completely forgot to mention this at the top of the show, but we should probably plug that Caroline Ray is back playing her character on Phineas and Ferb. The new season just released on Friday, so you can support Caroline and watch a really cool cartoon if you want to on Disney+.
I love Perry the Platypus.
Who doesn't?
Psychopaths.
Seriously. That should be your first question on a dating app is how do you feel about Perry the Platypus? And if it's anything other than he is the best, you just unmatch immediately.
Hey, maybe that will change your algorithms. You should update.
Ooh, okay. I'll try that. Maybe I won't get clowns anymore.
One can only hope.
I would take a Dr. Doofenshmirtz type.
That could be fun.
He definitely tries. I don't know why him and his wife got divorced. I feel like he'd be a very dedicated husband, but maybe he let his evil plans get in the way. Anyway, this is the Sabrina podcast.
For the most part.
Please like, share, rate, and subscribe to us. Be like Sports Chick 12 and talk about us to your family and friends and internet strangers. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod and TikTok at something.witchy.pod. Until next time.
Stay meowgical.